Bonjour et bienvenue chez Chanel. Hi, it's me, Ali, your fancy friend in Montreal. And today we're doing another episode in the Coco Goes To Work series, talking about the Les Beiges because it is Les Beiges season. So I used to work for Chanel. I no longer work for them anymore, but I have a lot of information. So let's pretend you've come to the counter and you're asking me which products to use. You just want my advice about Les Beiges and summer and all that wonderful stuff. And for today's video specifically with Les Beiges, we're going to add a pop of color because the entire Les Beiges collection is very neutral, very subtle, very natural. So this lends itself very well to a little pop of color. But before we go any further, let's take a second to grab our iced coffee or a hot coffee. Let's take a sip and let's get started. I did a video in the Coco Goes To Work Les Beiges series a few weeks ago, and that one talked about the most user-friendly, my most repurchased products. So if you want some advice about which products to start with, perhaps, you could go ahead and watch that. However, Les Beiges, all the products, the entire series here, they're very subtle, they're very buildable, they're very natural, so you don't need to watch these videos in any particular order, just whatever seems the most fun. I'm going to start off with the Les Beiges Cream Bronzer actually. This is the shade 390. This is the Soleil Tan. This came out a couple years ago. It's a reformulation. They just reformulated this one again, but I'm sticking to the one that I picked up a couple years ago. I'm going to use a big fluffy brush here, and I'm going to start off with the eyes. I always do the eyes first. That's just my professional tip for you, just in case anything falls out eyeshadow wise. It's always nice to do the eyes first, just in case. I don't like having to go back in and clean it up and add more concealer and foundation. So this cream base is very subtle, very buildable and natural. The 390 is the more classic shade. I do love Chanel and their Les Beiges collection. However, it is hard to find a bronzer from the brand that is more cool toned. A lot of their products, the bronzers anyway, will go a little bit more orange, so be mindful of that. And the goal of adding bronzer here is not to look like I'm actually wearing bronzer on the eyes. It's just going to marry all of the colors together. And like I stated, because everything is so you but better and neutral, going in with a little pop of color is really ideal for this whole collection. And last time we talked about the Mediterranean because Les Beiges is you but better and stepping off of a yacht somewhere on the Mediterranean. And many of you in the comments suggested other places for us to go to as a destination. I am all ears. Feel free to leave a comment and let us know where we should have our offsite and where we should go on a beach vacation. Now, I know you came here today for Les Beiges. I just wanted to let you know that over at the YSL counter, there's a new palette that just came out that is very popular. It's called Unexplored Gardens. It's a lighter twist on khaki, and we're going to use maybe one or two of these colors today for that slight pop of color. We're going to go into this topper shade. It's hard to really do it justice here on camera, but in person, you'll see it's so light and it gives that beautiful pop of color. So I'm just going to use a little bit of maybe this color here, very lightly over top of the bronzer. And then using a finger, I'm going to dip into the topper shade. It's a really lovely formula. And it is a beautiful pop of color, but it's going to look really light and almost effervescent. That's really all we're going to do on the eyes, but I'm going to go into the Signature de Chanel. It's the felt tip liner in black. And we're just going to do a little flick because I want this to just feel light and effervescent and very summery. It is quite warm, but doing something like this just looks very fun and the light catches it in a very subtle way. So we're just going to do a little line on top with a little flick here. If you struggle doing winged liner and making them look remotely even, I would recommend starting off with the delinquent eye. I find that I have a harder time doing a flick on this side here, so I always start on this side that's harder, and then I go to the easier side and try to match what I did. That's what I do. I find that significantly easier. And now we're going to go back into that cream bronzer. A lot of people don't know this, but you can actually use this as a primer, as a base. You can use it over top, but one of my preferred methods is using it underneath. I like to use it underneath everything. This is very soft, very subtle. I like to use a big kabuki brush, like a big round brush like this. And you can see that I'm applying it everywhere. It doesn't necessarily look orange or bronzy. It just evens out a little bit. So feel free to do this at home. I know that they just redid this formula. They recently relaunched it. I am not going to purchase it because I don't want to purchase the exact same product that I have. I have quite a bit. I mean, I am making a dent, but until I need to get a new one, I'm not going to buy a new one just for the sake of it. So feel free to use the one you have at home. And it's going to give you a little bit of glow, but nothing too much. For the foundation, I'm going into the Les Beiges Long Wearing and Hydrating Foundation. I'm going to use the shade B30. In the summer, I'm like a B30, B40, but I think this should do. I'm just going to place some in the more problematic areas, more in the center of the face, and then spread it out. I like this foundation because it doesn't really feel like anything. Again, Les Beiges looks like you, but better, naturally sun-kissed. Maybe my eyelids are always this green, you don't know. And the foundation should correspond as well. You don't have to go into a foundation, but if you do, I think that the foundation from the Les Beiges series is probably what you're going to want if you want your skin but better. It blends imperfections, but it doesn't hide anything. Because at the end of the day, it's okay to be human and to have some skin imperfections peeking through. That being said, I'm always a fan of the Sublimage concealer. This is the shade 32. This is it's fantastic. It is very pricey, but a little bit goes a long way. And I think for me, as much as I love natural You But Better makeup, there are two exceptions, mascara and also concealer. Those are two products that I always want them to look like they're doing their job. They're not just very natural and easy breezy. And I do think that the Sublimage concealer is good for warmer weather. Even though it is more of a high coverage concealer, it looks and feels natural and it stays in place. It doesn't crease. So if it's a warm, hot, sunny day, it's still a really good product to wear on those days. Now, moving forward, you could go back into the cream bronzer and sculpt a little bit more. I'm going to skip because I'm going to show you why in a moment, but this is fantastic. You can use it on the eyes, globally on the face, a little bit more precisely. It's fantastic. Underneath, over top, mixed together, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm going to go ahead and use my cream blush stick in shade number 20. Now this is what it looks like in the tube, but when you wear it here, this is it on the back of my hand, but on my face, you're going to see this looks like if a bronzer and a blush met, got married, had a baby. It really is just the best of both worlds. So sometimes if I'm looking for something that's going to give me a little bit of bronzer with a blush, I go for this here, so you don't necessarily have to go in with a bronzer if you don't want to. Just picking up what was left on the back of my hand here, and I'll pick up a little bit. And it just looks so soft. It's also a little bit luminous as well, but it almost has like a velvety powder finish, even though it's a blush stick. I've noticed recently we have a new trend at different counters with these very glossy blush sticks. And I can't help but think that it's going to stick everywhere in the hair and just look and feel a bit too glossy and dewy during the day. But this looks luminous in that lit from within glow. I mean, it just looks like a beautiful blush. it doesn't necessarily look like it was a cream blush. And if ever you feel like you've gone maybe into blush blindness or blush madness, you can just take the brush you were using before to apply the foundation and just very gently, like, look, I'm not holding it like this, I'm holding it very lightly over here. I'm just sort of sweeping over maybe areas that I went a little bit too blush happy with. This is this new term called blush blindness, which I definitely experience sometimes. Sometimes the blush is just so pretty, you just don't really want to stop, but sometimes you want just a little bit of flush and not too much. All right, moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and powder strategically. I like the soft glow that I have on my cheeks. I don't want to powder everywhere. So I'm going to use the Universal Loose Powder, and I'm using the shade 30. So for a foundation, I'm a 30 or a 40. I'm closer to a 40 now that it's summer. However, when it comes to powders, I err on the side of going a little bit lighter. I find that it just sort of brightens the complexion, especially when you're going to go everywhere. There is a translucent shade. If you're not sure what to get, I would recommend the translucent color. However, if you want one with a little bit of tint and you're not sure if you're in between, go with the slightly lighter one. And because I want to be more strategic, I'm actually going in with a highlighter powder highlighter brush. This one normally would be for highlighter, but I'm just loading it up here and going into these areas. I'm using this shape because it's smaller. It's not just like a big, wide powder brush. Just something smaller like this. And I'm going underneath and around the brush. Sometimes my eyebrow gets sweaty. Have you had that happen? I'm sure you have. Anyway, I'm just very lightly going over top here like this. Now for the lips, I actually walked over to my coworker at the Victoria Beckham counter, and I'm going to use the Posh Gloss in the shade Bungalow. It is this color here. I think it's going to match my top quite nicely. It's a beautiful, creamy, peachy nude, and with the green, it's going to look lovely, and it's just a gorgeous nudie color that I think lends itself very nicely to a Les Beiges look. So to finish off our look, I think we should go into a fragrance. I'm actually going to use one of my scented hand creams here from Chance. I bought this little kit a couple years ago, and I'm going to use the green one, Chance Eau Fraîche. That's the zesty, fresh lime one. I'm obviously inspired by the green here on my eye, but I want something light, effervescent, citrusy, summery. And for me, that's this perfume here. I think it's fun to try the shower gels, the body lotions, the hand creams, whatnot. Obviously, this is not going to be like the most heavy duty hand cream known to mankind. It's more just to get that scent in maybe a more subtle way. It smells exactly like the perfume, but just in a hand cream. I think I'll put a little bit on my arms as well. So I think this does it for our Coco Goes To Work Les Beiges, but with a pop of color. Please let me know what you think in the comments and leave a little green heart emoji if you made it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoy this series. I certainly do. And let me know what else Coco should do, what else Les Beiges related, which other versions. I have other ideas in mind. Like basically, I'm amenable to your requests, so sound off in the comments below. And before we go, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so recently my friend and I came out with a new video series, Summer in the City. And this is where I go and explore different parts of Montreal, different neighborhoods, and be a flâneuse. A flâneuse is a lady who just ambles about in the city at markets, you know, goes to a little coffee shop, whatever. And it's going over so well. The comments are extraordinary. You guys love it. It's very cinematic. I wanted to create something inspirational. Like, you know, when we used to flip through fashion magazines and you were just like, oh, I just want to dive into that page. That's what I wanted to create with this series. And that's what we did. I do the script and the editing. And my friend Tarsila Schott, she's a director of photography. So she's great at that. And that's what she does. She films and she does the color grading. And together we created this beautiful series. I mean, I think it's beautiful and clearly you do as well. So thank you for your support and thank you for the lovely comments. It's been so well received. It's so nice when you do something and you put a lot of work into it and it gets so well received. You're like, ah, yes, I'm on to something. But anyway, I wanted to give you a quick thank you for that as well. And on that note, that's it for today. That's it for Coco. She's done. She's going to go make some lunch. But anyway, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Of Montreal, and to help you explore this wonderful city that I call home.
I can't see anything. I was like, why can't I see her? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good. Oh yeah.